Hi there, Tony Potts here. Welcome to Pardon the Disruption. It's a platform, it's a show that features disruptors from around the world who are changing lives, changing cultures, maybe changing your life. But one of the through lines with every disruptor that you'll see on this show is that they do not take no for an answer. People have told them, no, you can't do this, or you're not that, you're not good enough, that's a stupid idea, what have you. But all of them have said, really? Not so much. I know what I'm doing. I believe in myself. I believe in my idea, and I'll make a difference. And their stories are extraordinary, and I cannot think of a better word to describe my guest, actually your guest today. His life is extraordinary. He's extraordinary. His story is something that you would not believe if some of the best Hollywood writers wrote it. It's incredible. His name is Emmanuel Kelly. I am blessed to call you a friend. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, mate.
So tell people, I can tell them this story, but they don't want to hear it from me. But it starts in Iraq and ends up somehow currently with Coldplay, Snoop Dogg, and what have you. Mm-hmm. But it starts in Iraq in a park. Take it from there.
I was found in a box in a park in Iraq by two soldiers who had heard this baby cry. They took this baby, this box, and the story goes that they were shooting at each other, and they heard this child cry, and they went towards that child, put their guns to the side, and went towards that child. They lifted the box, they took it to an orphanage, and for the next 7 years, I was raised there for the entire time. And I saw some of the worst of mankind, executions. I mean, you name it, I saw it, right? And it was a very, very difficult time. And the only thing that kept me alive was honestly hope, right? It was the feeling and the realization that hope is around the bend and it's around the corner. I wrote a song about it as well. So I'm a singer, and we'll get to that as well. But
we mentioned the Coldplay thing and Snoop Dogg.
That's it.
You have to have some chops to be on those stages.
That's it. So, so I've never heard that saying, some chops.
Yeah, chops. You have chops. It means you have skills.
Thought you meant like you can eat me chops-wise.
No. There's our Australian and American discord there.
That's it.
Two different continents, two different things.
But I was then taken to so while I was in the orphanage, I saw all these, terrible things. And then something incredible happened. This incredible woman, Moira Kelly, who's a humanitarian, she saved thousands of children's lives from across the globe. She had heard about my brother and I. And she got on a plane, and this is obviously a very, very long story cut short.
Of course.
Because there were things that led to that moment of her hopping on a plane. But there was this nun, she came up to her and she said, Moira, there's these two boys and they need your help. And now I can't do an Albanian accent, so let's just assume the nun was Russian. She goes, Moira, do you have some vodka? No, she didn't say that. But she said, there's these two boys and they need your help. Yeah. Can you help them? And Mum goes, look, I'll do my best. And at that time, Mum was ready to give up. Well, she was ready to stop working for that world and stop helping kids in that area. But instead, she had this epiphany, this change of heart, this mindset of who am I to judge, or who am I to decide whether these two boys should have a chance or not? And so she gets on a plane. She goes to Jordan. She travels, 9 hours from Jordan to Iraq and Baghdad. And she comes and meets my brother and I for the first time. And I remember waiting 3 days before her, getting told 3 days before her arriving that there's this woman and she's going to come and help us. And I sat on a window ledge for 3 days straight, looking over, waiting and waiting and waiting. And eventually she arrived. And it was the most amazing experience of my, of just seeing her. I remember thinking three things. One, is she an angel? Right? Because she was wearing a veil, white dress, blonde hair. I mean, it was surreal.
Wow.
2, can she help us? And will she help us? And 3, how on earth did this really, really, really white woman get in this country? Those are the 3 things I thought.
If she floated down as an angel, that would explain part of it.
That would explain part of it, absolutely. So it took her about 2.5 years. I mean, there was issues with Interpol. They were about to arrest us. I mean, it was like Jarhead and Argo meets. Like, it was that crazy of a story, just trying to get us out to Iraq, from Iraq to Australia. I mean, it was insane. So, but eventually we got out to Australia. I had about 6 surgeries. And when I had those surgeries, other amazing things happened.
Because you couldn't walk at the time, right?
No, I couldn't walk. I was hopping, like a kangaroo.
Right.
And I'm like, look at me, I'm walking. But
an
Mum's
Australian.
like, no, you're a kangaroo. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But anyway, I mean, and there was obviously other things that we're going to go into a little bit through this interview. But, that's kind of the start of that story. And then I came out to Australia. Cultural change galore, by the way, when
Absolutely.
I got out there. I mean, it was insane.
But what an amazing woman to do this and then eventually adopt you and raise you.
Yeah.
Right? Incredible. And then when did you find out, you mentioned singer earlier, when did you find out you could sing?
So when I was in Iraq, we would hear gunshots and executions and bombs. And we would see executions and we would hear gunshots. We'd see some pretty intense things. And when we saw those intense things, the one thing I turned to was music. I would sing to myself. I would create melodies. I would hum melodies. It was a song that we learned, one of the first songs we ever learned. It was a welcome song. And we would take that melody of the welcome song and just divert into little other melodies.
Yeah.
We didn't have songs like Twinkle Twinkle or Baba Black Sheep or Oh MacDonald Had a Farm. We didn't have songs like that.
You had bombs, gunshots,
We had
war.
Yeah, and so sometimes we would grab let's say this is a Lego. We would grab a Lego piece and we would just go, and we would create beats. And we would just start doing it. And it was my escape. It was my brother's escape. It was the way we escaped what we had experienced and seen. And it was our way of just living every day.
How did that transition into, okay, I'm going to have enough gumption to go on X Factor Australia?
So I came out to Australia, when I came out to Australia after the surgeries.
How old were you, like 11 at this time when you get to Australia?
I was 7 when I came out to Australia.
Okay.
My first surgery I had in Australia was when I was about 9.
Okay.
So it was about 2 years after I'd arrived. And I arrive into Australia, I have my first surgery. And after my first surgery, Mum takes me to this conference that she's speaking at.
Yeah.
And it's a company that's sponsoring her at the time. And she takes me to the conference and I start singing. And she gets me up on stage and I just start singing. And someone comes up to her and she goes, Moira, he's really good. She goes, no, he's just cute. She goes, no, Moira, he's really cute. Don't tell me that. You don't know what you're talking about. He's just cute. You're just obsessed with his cuteness and he's missing an arm and it looks, it's like so brave and inspirational, but he's not that good.
That is a tough mom, by the way.
He's actually not that good. Oh yeah, she was tough. I call it tough love, but at the time I'm like, this ain't tough love, this is something else. Right, but she had tough love. And so we're there and this woman goes, no, Moira, I think I know what I'm talking about. Don't tell me if I know or not know what I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. She goes, what are you talking about? You're not listening to me. And she goes, no, you listen to me. This boy has talent. And the reason I know that is because I'm Kylie Minogue's vocal coach. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, huge international star.
Savage Garden, you know.
Yeah,
who
of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Savage Garden. She was the vocal coach for from that movie Grease. What's that girl's name?
Olivia Newton-John?
Olivia Newton-John. She was a
What's
vocal
that girl's
coach
name?
that's the one. She was a vocal. Sorry, Olivia.
Well, you're only 20.
You're still beautiful.
How old are you, 26?
I'm 25.
25, yeah. So
But still.
you get a pass.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. I'll take the pass. We'll move on now. No, but she name drops all these people, and there's this artist, Kate Sobrano, who's a really well-known opera singer in Australia. I don't know if you know her from your days, but she.
My days. What am I? 100 years old?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So
get to X Factor.
So
it all works.
So it all works. But X Factor wasn't around at the time in Australia. The only choice I had was Australia's Got Talent. So I went on Australia's Got Talent. I'm like, all right, X Factor's not going to work. Australia's Got Talent. So I jump on the show, didn't make it in. The producer said, sorry, you're not good enough. I sung Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. I might bust out a little bit of it later on. But I did that. Didn't happen. Next time I did it, I went on again the next year, auditioned again the next year, didn't make it in. And that same year, on the second time of Australia's Got Talent, X Factor came out 2 months later. And what do they say? They said, Emmanuel, we're relaunching X Factor in Australia. Do you want to audition? It was the same producer. He goes, I'm so sorry you didn't make it into Got Talent. There is reasons why. It's not because you weren't good enough. It was just whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Stuff, exactly. You know how that
Oh, yeah,
works,
business
right?
stuff. Yep.
And so I said, I'd love to audition. So I went to audition. I sung this song called When You Say Nothing at All by Ronan Keating. Have you ever heard that song? So I sung that song and they go, all right, that sounded amazing, Emmanuel. That's incredible, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And they said, we'll call you. I waited 2 months, no call. Waited 3 months, I finally got a call. And the call says, Emmanuel, we want to know more about you. That was it. And I'm like, so have I made it in? We'll call you back.
Jeez.
Waited another month and a half, no call. Waited another on the 2.5 month stage. This was 5.5 months in by this point. They called again. I wasn't home. Mum answered. Mum answers the phone. She says, oh, Emmanuel made it in. That's incredible. She calls me. She says, Emmanuel, we have to talk. Thinking I'm in huge trouble at this point, right? By the way, at the time, I had 3 green slips. Green slips are like when you're really, really naughty and you're about to get expelled. I was really bad at school. And most disruptors are really bad at school.
Apparently,
Come
yes.
on, right? Really bad at school. I didn't want to conform into that world. It wasn't for me, right? And I always say there's no such thing as lazy people. There's only uninspired people. I wasn't lazy at my schoolwork. I was bloody good at it if I put effort in.
Yeah.
I was just uninspired to do it. So I go home, Mum sits down and she goes, you have to promise me you will never get a green slip again. I go, well, I promise you, Mum. And she goes, you promise me? She goes, yeah, I promise. She goes, all right, well, I have something to tell you. I go, so am I in trouble? No, you're not in trouble. I got good news. Why couldn't you tell me this? By the way, I'm in boarding school, so I had to travel 5.5 hours back down to Melbourne with this, I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble, I'm in doom, right?
She knows what she's doing.
She does. And she turns around and she goes, Emmanuel, X Factor called me today. You made it in. I hit that table so hard, I punched a hole in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I sprained my hand. I was so excited. So excited. Next 2 months, I rehearsed and practiced a song called Home by Michael Bublé. I get to the X Factor audition. They come to me. They say, Emmanuel, are you ready to sing Imagine? I gave them Imagine as a second option. Didn't practice, and I hadn't sung that song since I was 11 years old. It was the second song I'd ever learned after Yellow Submarine. And they said, you ready to sing Imagine? I go, no, I'm singing Home. We couldn't get the rights. Didn't anyone call you? I was supposed to call you a week ago.
That's entertainment, by the way.
Crap. In my head, I'm thinking, that was so your plan, right? Just to freak you out. They go, you got 10 minutes, learn.
And if anybody wants to see what happened, just Google
it.
Google Emmanuel
Rest is history.
Kelly and
I went on
X Factor
stage,
and
I
Imagine.
said, stuff it, and 1 billion views later, I'm here.
And Yoko Ono, John Lennon's widow.
So there's a real cool story. Quick side note, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes.
Great. So we're getting an interview, right? And funniest thing happened. We're getting an interview, and the network comes in, all this sort of stuff, and it's great. And I get this tweet, right? And I said to everyone, guys, who's Yuko Uno? I don't know how to say her name. But it's really weird because this random woman I've never heard of in my life, so I don't know who she is, just retweeted the video and said that John would have been proud. I'm proud of you. Well done, Emmanuel, all this sort of stuff. And it has like 2 million reposts and like 10 million likes in like 10 minutes. But who is she? Doesn't make sense to me. And they almost had a heart attack. They told me who it was, and rest is history. And every year she reposts that video, but I had no idea who she was.
That is a great story. And so from there, your life takes off.
It does.
And so you're about to put out an album?
Yes, I release an album next year. I mean, I had lots of ups and downs.
Of course.
I went downhill for a long time, and after X Factor, I got bullied a lot. I started doing drugs, alcohol. I lost myself completely. And then I rebuilt and it was mainly because I didn't love myself.
Right, but stop that for a second. So real quick, so this is really interesting. So you hit a low.
Very much so.
And a lot of people I talk to, disruptors and what have you, there is a point where they just hit a low and they come out of it. Some people are on the floor in a fetal position thinking, what have I done with my life? What was that point for you, and how did you get out of it? When did you say, enough is enough, I got to change this?
So there was, I was with a record label at the time, and they kept dangling the carrot. It controlled me. When I was in Iraq, a group of soldiers walked in. They put a gun to my brother and I head. We were about to get executed. I bit one of the soldiers in the leg, and a soldier in higher rank than him walks in and says, looks at me, looks at the soldier, looks at me again, and he goes, "He's got balls." And somewhere along the line, I've always had balls, but somewhere along the line, and it happened after X Factor, I lost my balls. And because I lost that balls, I lost the ability to love myself and embrace. Last year, if we were in an interview, I would have covered my arms up like this, and that's how we would have had the whole conversation, just like that, right? You wouldn't have even been able to see my hand the whole time, right? Now, I'm in love with myself. I think I'm a great person. I embrace the person that I am. I embrace the hand that the universe, that God gave me, right? It's a gift. I embrace this face because it's a bloody good looking face, just like yours, right? But I embrace who I am, and I embraced my story. But there was a moment in that life where I was on the street and I said, I can't be this. This is what is going on. I've lost my balls, and I've lost the ability to embrace myself. And I had to take a step back, and I don't know what it was, but there was a feeling inside, and I looked at the mirror and I said, enough is enough. I am taking power of my life again. I am taking control of my journey again. I punched the mirror, and the next day a friend of mine bought a new mirror, and when I looked at that new mirror, I saw a new me. And in that moment, I realized it's time to change, and I started to change, started to be better, and I manifested all these incredible things that happened, and I started to disrupt even more and more.
Manifest is a huge word. People sometimes just gloss over, but you know how important it's to manifest what you.
We have the ability to manifest.
Without question.
I had that child regain his strength again in an adult's body. That's all it was.
Wow. And then, so now, I've met you, 9 months ago? Well, I met you 3 years ago.
We met 3 years ago.
Yeah, for like an hour.
And then our friend Dominic.
Dominic, yes. But, and then, so how is Chris Martin in your life? He's an amazing person.
Chris came on, he calls me one day, he says, "Emmanuel, we'd like you to come and perform with us on our tour, on our Head Full of Dreams tour." At first, I thought that it was someone bullcrapping me. And I'm thinking, this is so not right. I'm the Pope, mate. He goes, "I'm Chris Martin from the band Coldplay." And I'm like, and I'm the Pope. Like it just didn't make sense. Anyway, I went on the tour and he sat with me and he goes, "Emmanuel, you have a story and you could tell that through music. Let me mentor you." So he started mentoring me, and for the last 2.5 years, he's been or a year and a half, he's been mentoring me as an artist. He's been helping me with my album. We finally finished the album, which he kind of mentored me through. We finished the album about 6 months ago. We released the album next year, towards the end of next year. And this year we're releasing a single, "Eat Us Never Alone," which is featuring Paul Oakenfold, who hasn't released, I don't think, anything in over 10 years.
I know Paul.
So it's really exciting.
It's a big deal if Paul's on board.
It's huge. So the music's done already, and we're releasing it in a few weeks at a major concert in town, and yeah.
So as we wrap up, Emmanuel, what would you tell anybody who's out there, who's having a tough time, but believes in themselves, but is having a tough time, and is it manifest? Is it believe in yourself? What's the one message?
One message I can give the people in this that are watching this is, put believing in yourself aside and all the typical things you hear every day. All I can say to you guys is, remember, you are not alone. It's that simple. Just keep remembering you are not alone. And when you remember that, what that allows you to do is it allows you to embrace yourself. Remember that your story is just as important as everyone else's. Remember that your story is a gift. And just because there's a person in Iraq that might be dying today, it doesn't mean you're not as important as that person. You are just as important as that person. So remember that. And when you remember those things, you start embracing yourself. And when you embrace yourself, you love yourself. When you love yourself, you automatically start giving that love to others. And amazing, magical things start happening. You start manifesting your own power, your own future, your own design, and your own disruption.
Oh, brother, well said.
Thanks, bro.
You are awesome. Thank you for
You
being.
are.
Thank you for being in my life.
Hey, I appreciate you too.
Emmanuel Kelly, everybody, on
Thank
Pardon
you.
the Disruption. Look him up online. Amazing videos, amazing moments, and not,
Instagram.
and not a bad mug. Not a bad mug.
Hang on. Let's do it. What's
gotta go.
what's his name pose? The Zoolander.
Oh, yeah, Zoolander.